Welcome everybody to Online Presenters. This meeting will be recorded. Our policy is stills and excerpts from the video may be used by the club in our PR and social media efforts. We can make exceptions, so let us know if you don't want your image or your voice or speech to be on a video on our Facebook website or social media. Online Presenters is intended to be for us to learn skills for better webinars and online events, which is supposedly what got Therese interested in this club. So I hope we meet her expectations. We do use Ring Central, and there is some rules. You have speaker view or you have gallery view. And in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, you have controls to mute your microphone yourself or to mute your video. In case you're going to get up and do anything that might be distracting, it's always good to turn your video off and then turn it back on when you come back and are seated. Keep track of the timer. I am the timer tonight, and I will be using some different colored objects to signal green, yellow, and red that I have around the house. Make sure you know who the timer is, so look for mine if you're a speaker in any of the speeches, evaluator, or table topics. It's always also good to use your own timing device in case you can't find. If you need an audible signal, make sure you let the timer know you want an audible signal in addition to the visual. If you're interested in joining or you know somebody might want to join the club, point them to our website on WordPress and click on the join button at the top menu bar. Our requirements are you've completed 6 Toastmasters speeches, but we do make exceptions for other people that have speaking experience outside Toastmasters. We require them to just make a 1 to 2 minute table topics type speech of why they want to join our club. So now we're going to start the meeting, and I'll turn the meeting over to Deborah, our Toastmaster of the day. Deborah?
Unmute. And thank you. What I don't see is how I'm supposed to mute everybody when it's time, but maybe Jimmy, you can help me with that. Wherever you are, because you're muted. Hi everyone.
Somebody will need to make you the host.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying somebody will need to make you the host or co-host for you to have the magic.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Can you do that for me, Jim? Now I'm the host. I just saw a button pop up. And I don't see the rest of it. It'll some way or another. If I need help, I'll say so. Anyway, with Cyber Monday as our theme, it's been probably an exciting day. I can't even begin to imagine how many bazillions has been sold today. We've got an exciting meeting, and with this meeting, one thing that we do always great as a cyber group is we show up and we're here. So I'm excited about this, and we're going to start right out with our with everyone introducing their roles. So as the we don't have an AR counter. Just thought I had that foot covered too, and I don't. Andy, Andy's going to take care of. He's going to be the AR counter. If you'll explain what you're doing, Andy.
The AH counter is the individual that listens carefully throughout the entire meeting and identifies individuals that use bridge words. These are typically start overs, so, words that fill in bridges that should be used by pauses and cleaning up the language. I'll give a report when called upon at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. And next we have the grammarian, Roger.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As the grammarian, I'll be looking or listening for the correct use of the English language. You will not be penalized if you try to speak Chinglish. As my second role, as the, like, in a sense, a lexicologist, the word of the day, since this is Cyber Monday, is bargain. You can use the word in terms of a verb or a noun in terms of bargain that you would find, or bargaining with somebody. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And Jimmy Dent, you are the timer. If you will tell us about the timing tonight, please.
Okay, I am the timer tonight. And I will be timing the speeches. There are different times for both speeches. So I'll be holding up this olive oil bottle for the green signal. I've got a yellow folder I'll hold up for the yellow signal. And I've got a giant coffee mug that's red that I'll hold up for the red signal. And it'll be for the speeches, the speech evaluators, which are 2 to 3 minutes, and the table topic speakers, which are 1 to 2 minutes. Back to you, Deborah.
Thank you. We initially had Viviana as our watcher, and we switched over to Norman. Now we have both. So who wants to jump in? Viviana, why don't you go ahead and take it since you did come, and Norman, we're going to assign you something for next time.
Okay, so as a watcher, I will observe visual presentation, the body language, slide, and other visuals. Back to you, Deborah.
Thank you. We also have a vote counter, and tonight that is Dagmara. And so Dagmara, just tell us, how the guests can vote if they'd like to. Can they vote?
Of course, they will be
Oh,
sending, after prompted by Toastmaster of the Day, they will be sending votes to me privately. Just,
Okay.
yes, so please do that in a private mode. This is, that might be tricky sometimes. Anyway, cannot wait to vote your counts.
Thank you. It is only the members that can vote, come to think of it. Is that correct with speeches also? Okay, I made a mistake. So we keep learning. So send all your votes to Dagmara. When Peggy speaks, then we will send the votes that time to Jimmy Dent, but I'll tell you then. Next, we have the chat monitor. Where'd you go?
I'm here.
There you are. You're right in the middle of my screen.
Hiding.
Giant quick.
Well, if I don't get lost in the woods, I'll make sure to keep an eye on the chat, which is already off to a raging start. Interesting facts about Disney World and weddings and other miscellany. Make sure to keep it going throughout the day, so we'll have a lot to summarize at the end. I'll put a little summary into the chat box towards the end of the day so we can get some of the highlights. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Also, Graham is our general evaluator, excuse me, who will bring up everything for us later. Excuse me. We're going to move on to the speeches. And Therese is our first speaker tonight. She is using the manual path, and the title of her story, her title is Story, Cooperation, and Power.
Which manual, please?
Which manual is it, Therese?
And which project?
I haven't defined that yet, so it's kind of generic.
Okay, thank you.
Speak and fit it in later. With Therese's new status as an empty nester, she's been catching up on years of reading. The recent historical and philosophical books have taught her some interesting things. Tonight, she'll share how her ability to tell and believe in stories has brought humans to dominate the world. Plus, those that are in control of the story are in control of reality. Let us welcome Therese to speak tonight.
If you could unmute the microphones.
I haven't still figured that out yet.
Okay.
So Jim, if you'll unmute for me.
Deborah, you do have the control.
I know, I was trying to find it and I didn't see where
Hit the participant button
Under
on the
manage.
bottom,
there it
and
is.
then look to the right.
Got it. There it is. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Imagine that there's a island and you put me on the island and a wild chimpanzee. Who do you think would survive the best on that island?
The
Me
wild-
or the chimpanzee?
The chimp.
Yeah,
Chimp.
probably the
Depends
chimpanzee.
on what you've got. Yep.
My money's on you.
Now let's change this to 1,000 humans, me, you, all of us, 1,000, and 1,000 chimpanzees. Now what would be your bet?
Oh, the humans.
People.
Humans.
The humans. Humans have come to dominate the world. And the way that we have done this is through flexible cooperation. We can cooperate with each other because we have the ability to tell story. We have an imagination. Other species do not have the ability to tell story. And through story, if I believe the story, you believe the story, we all believe the story, then we can cooperate. One of the greatest stories of all time is money. If I have this green piece of paper, it has no intrinsic value. I can't eat it, I can't drink it, I can't wear it, but I can go down to the grocery store down the street and I can hand that piece of paper, that green piece of paper, to a perfect stranger. I've never met her before, and she will be happy to give me a banana, a real banana that I can eat. But if I go and try to hand that dollar bill to a chimpanzee, will he give me a banana?
Not likely.
He'll eat
No.
that dollar.
You not eat the dollar.
Yeah, he says, what can I do with this? He doesn't understand story. We have come to dominate the world because we have an imagination. Chimpanzees are in labs, in cages, in zoos. But if it was a 101, if we were in small groups on that deserted island, the chimpanzees would do better. But when it's large groups that we need to cooperate, whether it's 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, or now talking globally, billions of people, humans have the ability to flexibly cooperate because we can share stories. What are some of the other stories that we tell ourselves to create this large cooperation in the world? Can you think of some? How about, okay, Tracy?
History?
History? Let's say like history of nations?
Yeah, like the history of people.
Right, so history being, let's say, in the Bible or the Quran. They allow us to cooperate together. Why would one group of people, let's say the Irish Catholics, go against the Protestants? Because they each believe in a different story, but they believe as a collective group. They each believe. Nations. If I were to go up to the boundary between the US and Canada, am I going to find a line actually really in the ground?
Yes.
No. Yes.
Been
No.
here.
But I call myself an American. And some of you call yourself Canadians. This is a fictional story. And how about those legal sorcerers called lawyers. They create these legal fictions such as corporations. Coca-Cola Corporation, Nike Corporation. Are they real things? We say Coca-Cola suffered a loss, but did they really suffer? Can they really suffer? No, they're not real. They're fictions. Hi, kitty cat.
Sorry. Needed attention. Apologize for the distraction.
How about human rights? Now, there are some very, very good fictions like human rights, but it's a fiction. If you cut my body open, you would find a heart and you would find lungs, you would find cells, but are you going to be able to find human rights? Is it in there? No. This is another fiction. Now, there are good fictions, but this is another fiction that allows us to cooperate in a large way. Those that control the stories control reality. Let me bring an example. In the time of the Holocaust, what was the story that the Nazis told themselves?
They were superior.
They're superior, that the Jews were bad.
Right.
Who controlled the story?
Nazis.
Hitler.
Oh, yeah, Hitler.
And how did the story propagate? Through propaganda, through his voice, through his words. He was able to touch upon the feelings, upon the fears, the hopes and the dreams of the people. He controlled the story and he controlled the reality. It was just a myth, it was just a story, but it became the people's reality. In the 21st century, the reality will be controlled by those that control the algorithms and the data. Let me give you an example. Who do you turn to when you were young? Who would you turn to when you had a question? You might have turned to your mom and asked her a question. Now, if you have a problem or you have a concern, especially one that you don't want anyone to know about, who do you turn and ask?
Google.
Google. So let's say the wife who's not sure and types in, how do I know if my spouse is homosexual? Or the mom who types in, how do I know if my son is depressed? Google knows you better than a lot of other people. They have their own motives as to why they may want to nudge you in one way or the other. And the better their ability to give you answers that help guide you, the more likely that you'll continue to go back to Google. And that gives them power. The true reality is the first top 3 search results when Google brings up the search. Isn't it true? Isn't that what is real? Google said so. Humans have come to dominate the world because we can flexibly cooperate. Our ability to cooperate is based on our ability to have imagination, to tell story. That's it. Not a Toastmaster.
Thank you. Next we have Hev, and I'm going to mute everyone. Okay. We have Hev, and Hev is speaking to inform, and it's project number 4. fact-finding report. The title is Changing Habits, and he is going to speak from 5 to 7 minutes from that manual, and I would love to have you help me welcome Hev to the platform.
Hi everyone, today you're going to learn how to change your habit. Many years ago, I came across a title of the book, which is on the screen right now, How Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And it's until recently, I started thinking, is it really true that if you change your brain, you're going to change your life? Because to me, life is nothing but just a series of habits, day in and day out. One habit after another one. So therefore, if you want to change your life, here is what you should do. Change your habit. One of a habit that I want to change is to exercise regularly. And some of you may not know this, like when I came to the US 10 years ago, I was less than 100 pounds. But about 10 years later, I have gained 75 pounds. So I need to exercise regularly, but it was a very, very struggle for me until recently. I exercise every day, almost every day. Now, raise your hand if you have any bad habit that you want to change. Okay, some of you. Now, who want to know my process on how to change your habit? A few of you, that's good. Here is my 3-step process on how to change any habit. The first step is to understand what habit is and how it is developed. Well, human is a creature of habit, but more often than not, it is to our detriment. Habit doesn't discriminate. Everybody has it. And someone said that habits is the boss of every failure and the servant of every success. Habits is more powerful than desire, and it takes you further than desire. Habits decide our future. Now here is how habits develop. Any activity that you do frequently, it becomes a routine, and then it becomes a habit. So habit is a subconscious routine. Let me repeat that one more time. Any activity that you do frequently, it becomes a routine, and then it becomes a habit. Habit is a subconscious routine. So therefore, if you want to change or to develop a habit, you have to do an activity so frequently that it becomes a subconscious. You don't have to think about it to do it. So the first step is to understand what habit is and how it is developed. The second step is to create a new habit. Well, whatever bad habit that you want to change, it has nothing to do with changing that habit. So if you want to change that habit, one of the best thing to do is to develop a new habit to replace the bad one. It sounds weird to some of you. So it is something like changing a bad habit or get rid of a bad habit is similar to get rid of weeds in the garden. Now, raise your hand if you have a garden at your house at the moment. Okay, some of you. One interesting way to get rid of weed in your garden is to keep growing flowers in the garden until there is no more space for weed to grow. You have to keep growing the garden flowers in the garden until there is no space for weed to grow. So you keep growing, you keep develop the new habit to replace the old one in the time and the space that the bad habit happen. So there will be no more room for the bad habit anymore. So those are two of my strategy on how to change your habit. First, understand what habit is and how it is developed. Two, develop a new habit to replace the old one. And third is keep reminding yourself of the benefit from the new habit. So I have to exercise every day. That is the new habit that I want to have to replace my bad habit. And I keep remind myself that I have to exercise every day because I'm still single. And I don't want to be single for my whole life. For some of you, if you're not single right now, you should exercise too. Otherwise, you may be single again, I don't know. So those are my 3 steps on how to change any habit. First, understand what habit is and how it is developed. 2, develop a new habit to replace the bad one that you want to get rid of. And 3, keep reminding yourself of the news, of the benefit from having the new habit. And as you keep implementing this new strategy, I hope that it's going to work for you because it worked for me. Toastmaster.
Thank you very, very much. And now I've got some habits I need to change. Moving on, we have our table topics section. And I forgot to introduce well, I guess Roger did introduce our guests earlier. So anyway, for table topics, Elaine jumped in today and taking us right into Cyber Monday, and now they're saying it's even Cyber Week. So let's see what Elaine has to say. Questions she has for us.
Before I proceed with that, I just want to ask for a timer report so that people can actually vote.
Thank you.
Pass their votes forward to the vote counter of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just posted the times in the chat window. Teresa was at 8 minutes 51 seconds. Hev was at 6 minutes 16. They both qualify, so vote for the best speaker.
And please send those to Dagmara.
Okay, so moving on right along with the show. Our table topic for the evening indeed is going to be Cyber Monday. We really are consumed with consumerism and offers. With Black Friday and Cyber Monday, do we even have a break nowadays? I was feeling overwhelmed myself with the number of offers coming forward. Nonetheless, we now know that in 2016, Cyber Monday sales were just under $3.5 billion and making Cyber Monday actually the biggest shopping day of the year internationally. And the shopping is not just, it's not just electronics, it's everything. So with the rise of our digital purchasing, things have actually impacted other areas of retailing. And my question here is for Norman today. Norman, if you observe the locale where you live, what can you share or reflect about the impact of the rise of digital retailing and its impact on local storefront retailing?
Well, thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. I think one of the most obvious impacts of the digital retailing on the local retailers is not so much on the homegrown stores that are in my county, but I look and I see the demise of a number of the big box retailers that used to be around. I'm a bookworm, and Borders went bye-bye, and Toys R Us went bye-bye for my children. And I look, and I went looking for even a DSW where it used to be, and it's not there. And Circuit City is gone, and a number of the stores that were national chains of significance have disappeared, replaced by Amazon and other online retailers. I think it's actually radically changing the shopping landscape. And I look at my own behavior, and I can't remember the last time I was in a mall. It probably was 6 to 9 months ago, but I can't remember. And it used to be such a central part of my shopping experience. But a mall, why? So there has been a radical change, not so much on mom and pop, but really on the large stores that populate most of our shopping districts. Topics, Miss?
Yes, thank you, Norman. I'm really curious whether others have noticed the same kind of thing in their locales. I indeed have noticed the demise of big box retailers in my area. I would now like to invite LJ Lewis to see if he would like to participate with a question. A little background story. In the last couple months, I've been involved with folks from my high school class. We are preparing a reunion next year, and I've become very, very aware how different I am in terms of being tech savvy compared to many of the people who have volunteered to be on this committee. So my question for you is, as you look around at friends and family, when it comes to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, do you notice some generational differences approaching these kinds of retail opportunities?
Well, thank you, Table Talk, Madam Table Talk, whatever the proper name
Yeah.
is. Yes, I do notice some, but it's interesting. For example, my wife, she is not somebody who is normally tech savvy, and yet in the last year she has latched on and has learned how to purchase things on Amazon much more than I would prefer. And when I look at my parents or other people of their generation, though, it really depends. My father is a man who had his first computer, was a Commodore 64 back in the 80s. And so for him, purchasing things online isn't a problem at all. My mother, on the other hand, has never been very tech savvy, and I don't know that she's ever purchased anything online to this day. When it comes to other people that I know of their generation, it really varies depending on, I think, their interest in technology and the amount of years that they've spent with it. So thank you for the opportunity to speak, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, LJ Lewis from Utah. Enjoyed hearing your perspectives. I have a question now for Tracy Kawa, one of our guests today. Tracy, let's see. Tell me what you think about the blur of the retailing opportunities that now online and offline shopping opportunities that happen between Friday and Monday. What do you think about all that?
Can you repeat the question? So the question is, what do I think about the blur of the
deluge of shopping opportunities, and especially for bargains over this holiday time.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. First and foremost, this is by far the largest shopping day of the year, right before the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. What I see are so many bargains out there And the choices are so vast, yet at the same time, the choices are limited. So let me explain. The choices are so vast that sometimes I find that I can get overwhelmed with the amount of choices there are. If there's something that I want to purchase, let's take a blouse, for instance. How do I even determine which website to go to purchase the blouse? There are different levels of quality and product, and it's not like it was years ago where you can walk into a store and feel the texture and know if you're even getting something that the description states it as. The other thing is that the choices in the stores are getting narrower and narrower. I live across the street, directly across the street from the largest mall in Boca Raton. This mall had an anchor store of Sears, a few others, not Dillard's, however, a few others that I can't remember. These anchor stores are going out of business left and right, and it's really scary. And it's all because of these so-called bargains online. So while we're obtaining these bargains online, what we're also losing are our local options and the option to run in and buy something and get that instant gratification of feeling and touching a material and purchasing an item, taking it home, trying it on, and feeling good in that moment. Now you have to wait a week or 2 days with Amazon Prime to feel that instant gratification. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. So that was Tracy being our third respondent to Table Topics. I'd like to ask someone whether we have time for one more respondent.
You do have time for one more. I sent you a chat, but you didn't see it. So yeah, one more would be great. Thank you.
Okay. This question I am advancing to Nicole from New York. Welcome, Nicole. Nicole, tell us about a personal experience you've had either investigating bargains or making a purchase on Cyber Monday.
All right. Okay, let me make sure you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Yay. All right. I love sharing personal stories, especially about shopping. So my most recent bargain shopping experience has been probably, what time is it now? Roughly 55 minutes ago. So about 2 weeks ago, we went to Target, purchased some shirts. I was curious whether I got the cheapest price that I paid 2 weeks ago. I looked online today, and I actually got a cheaper price 2 weeks ago. Today is Cyber Monday. You would think the price would be lower today. The price is lower on some things I would never buy. So I do say to proceed with caution when you're shopping for bargains. Like really know some of the prices from before this holiday season, so you really can tell if you're getting a bargain or not. I kind of compare it to shopping at, let's say, Sam's Club, BJ's, Costco's. Like if you know the unit price, I find that's how you know whether you're getting a bargain or not. So, you know, do your research. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've had 4 great respondents, and Peggy indeed has given her why I'd like to join online Toastmasters speech. So back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Deborah.
Thank you. And now it's time for our evaluation segment. And I'm going to hand it right over to Graham. And I'm going to keep everyone muted. But Graham, take it from here.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, my job as General Evaluator is to be the Toastmaster of the evaluation section, which is something I'm not used to because that's not the way that we do it here down under, but I like the way that we're experimenting with this club. Our first evaluator tonight is Carol Prahinsky. Now, Carol is going to be evaluating the first speech tonight by Therese. Carol is perhaps at something of a disadvantage in that there is not a specific objective that she is going to be looking for, but I'm quite confident that there will be some great advice and some good commendations as well. But I'm not going to steal her thunder. Instead, I'll ask Carol, can you please take control?
Well, thank you, Mr. Evaluator. Yay! I am so thrilled to be able to evaluate Therese with her first speech here at Online Presenters. Welcome, Therese, to our club. It was a bit of a challenge not having a manual, and as a leader in Toastmasters, I say we always want to have manuals, and that had me questioning maybe we could help you figure out what to do for the next speech, making sure that you had some educational material to continue your growth as a speaker and leader. So we will reach out to you and make sure that you get that. Now, in regards to this speech, you have some qualities that make it very, very strong. I loved your opening where you're asking us to imagine we're on an island with a chimp. And the word imagination is one of the best ways to draw our attention in because we are connecting with you very strongly. It's one of the top 7 sell words in the world. So feel free to use imagination a lot more often. Now, you asked us to think about not just the chimp, but teamwork, flexible cooperation, money. I like money. That's another thing that draws us right into your speech. The sharing banana with a chimp. I was ready for that one. It never came up, but I want to share my banana with that chimp. He certainly is worthy. You had some great voice in this speech. You had good emphasis, good pauses, good inflection. All of them very strong that helps your audience stay connected with you. For your body language, I want to see a smile. Come on, give it to me. Yay, there you go. And there was something else that you were doing is with your neck, you were looking like this. And so I want you to lower the chin and look at us straight on. Now, one of the things I do, which you can't see right now, but I have a shoebox underneath my computer. So it brings it up at a higher level, which allows me to look directly at the computer. And it was suggested to me by Roger. Thank you, Roger. And I now do that. So just a couple ideas that maybe will help with your improvement of working on video. A next area was emotions. I started feeling some emotion in your speech, and it wasn't necessarily a positive emotion. So you're drawing me in, having me really think about what your message is. And so when we shifted over to the Nazis and some aspects of whether or not Google is a person or not, I was ready for the Google not being a person, but you acted like Google's a person. Yet earlier in your speech, you said the company is not a person. So there was a part of me saying, wait a minute, what is the message? What is the message? And so just keep working on that. And thank you. But I just want to make sure that your message comes across in a way that's easier for your audience, because you don't want to tip us in the wrong direction. You want us to connect with you and feel the power of your message and really say yes. Now, a couple people did. So is it just me? Maybe. But I wanted to share my perspective with you so that you say, okay, well, that's Carol's perspective. And we did have a lot of people loving your speech, and they connected well with it. So I'll just share that with you to say there's always different perspectives, and I'm simply sharing with you mine. I am encouraging you. You already have a lot of strengths. I particularly like your voice. Keep up the good work, Therese, and I look forward to your next speech. Thank you.
That's me, and I should turn my microphone on. Whoops. Thank you, Carol. As always, effective and complete. Our second evaluation tonight is Jim Barber. Now, Jim is going to be evaluating the speech which we heard by Hev, and Hev's fact-finding report. So, again, for a time of 2 to 3 minutes, I'm sorry, Mr. Timekeeper, you knew this, but I should tell you, 2, 2.5, and 3. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jim Barber.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And, of course, Hev. As Graham just indicated this was project number 4, a fact-finding report. And Hev, congratulations, you accomplished that wonderfully. You were reporting on the book Change Your Brain, Change Your Life by Daniel Ammon, and you gave us a good synopsis of what he talked about in that book. You, in terms of being a fact-finding report, you very well done. Let me go to the speaking aspects of it. I've heard you several times, speak several times now, and this time you were speaking slower, more deliberately, more distinctly. It was easier to understand what you were saying. I was having a little bit of a problem in some of your earlier presentations. That wasn't there this evening. You're making great progress there. I love that. Your speech structure, as always, is solid. You had an opening, a body, and a close. It was very clear where you were at all times, where you were going, that sort of thing. Use lists of items, the 3 steps of habits, and that sort of thing. Great. I have a couple of suggestions for you. One of them, you had a quote, a great quote. I hope I wrote it down right. You said, habit is the boss of every failure. Habit is the servant of every success. I thought that was a great quote. Unfortunately, you said it and it was gone. I would love to have seen that on a slide so that we could see it and think about it a little bit while you're continuing to talk about other things, minor thing. The other thing is strictly doing with video. On video, I was switching between speaker view and gallery view because I like to do that. I like to see the audience. I like to see you as well. For you, in both cases, you're looking down on the camera, and that's a little bit odd. It gives an odd perspective to the way you look. All the angles are all kind of coming together like that. It would be a little bit easier to watch if you had the camera basically at eye level so that you were looking straight out at the camera rather than looking down. The other little thing, you asked several times during your presentation for a show of hands. Who has done this? Who thinks this? Who would like to do this? And that sort of thing. And that can be a good technique in a live presentation. But in a video presentation, if you're in speaker view, you don't see the other participants. So you don't know if people are raising their hands or not. So I was switching back and forth between the two, and I think other people may have been looking in speaker view. I'm not sure that I would use that, the show of hands, asking for a show of hands. Just simply plow ahead and simply say, a common problem is, or many people feel that, and continue like that, rather than asking for the feedback, because in this particular environment, it's kind of hard to get. But this was a well-crafted, well-delivered presentation. Excellent job. Looking forward to your next one. Thank you, Hev.
And thank you, Jim, for a great evaluation once again. And those are our 2 evaluations tonight. I will be, as part of my general evaluation, providing a brief evaluation of the Table Topics participants, as well as, of course, the Table Topics Master. But to introduce the grammarian and watcher and R-counter and other such people, I will now hand control back to the Toastmaster for this evening.
Thank you, everyone. So we don't forget, if you will please send all of your votes, both for table topics and for evaluations, to Dagmara, that would be absolutely great. Thank you. So with our evaluations, and the people that's helping us out tonight, can we have the grammarian report?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, as the grammarian, tonight I did not hear anything particularly negative that hurts my ear in any way. One of the things that I believe we have to work harder on, not just tonight, but in most of our meeting, is our word of the day. During our table topic segment, we have 2 male, 2 female. Our female just run away with the bargains, and they did their share more than our male participant. For both of Norman and LJ, we got 0 bargains. So I don't know if I can extrapolate that to anything else other than just the usage of table, the usage of word of the day. But my last comment is that throughout the meeting, going forward in our next few meetings, let's work doubly hard on being more conscious of trying to incorporate the word of the day throughout our speaking, whether we are evaluator, table topic speakers, or any of our other role holders. Back to you, panel Toastmaster.
Thank you. And if we can have the watcher report, please.
Hello. So from what I watched today, that Teresa had a good use of hand gesture, and from his sake, I like the big image of your book display on the screen. And for everyone, the audience, I like some of you have a clean backdrop, like Elaine, Louise, Andy, and Roger, and also Norman. And some of you must also remember that you must be dominant rather than your background, because I see that like Tracy, your background is more dominant than you. Yes, you should come forward, so you are more dominant than your background. And there is also, you need to adjust the computer screen or the webcam, because there is a tilt, the angle in your background. I mean that if you adjust it like 90 degrees, then it's much better. And remember also there is like a Peggy, then don't cut your hair, don't cut your head virtually. Yes, that's feedback from me.
Thank you.
Deborah.
Next we have our counter, Andy.
Thank you very much, Deborah. We had favorite words to use. So was a popular word used by many people. A lot of double clutches, well, like, and, start overs, and was a popular word, as well as So the words so, and start overs were the most popular errors done during the speeches today.
Thank you. And our chat monitor, John.
Madam Toastmaster, I'm going to paste the report. There were some interesting discussions going on today, so look forward to that in the chat box.
Thank you. And naturally, then we wrap it up with our timer, Jimmy Dent.
I'm glad to say the speakers, the table topic speakers and evaluators were all within time. That's great. And I only got to use my big red coffee cup one time for only a few seconds, but that was within the 30-second grace period. So I kind of felt disappointed I didn't get to hold it up more often.
I did it deliberately, Jimmy, just so you could hold it up.
And before I turn everything over to Graham, quickly, Tracy, would you just tell us what you feel about our group, about our meeting?
Thank you for asking for my feedback. I really enjoyed it. I think there's more of a global perspective and a wider array of topics that are covered online here. A lot of different perspectives than I'm accustomed to at my Toastmasters group. And we have a lot of professionals. So it's no reflection on them. It's just I see more of that global perspective and different perspectives. And I really enjoyed the two speakers tonight. I thought they were fascinating.
Thank you for coming, and we hope you'll come back and visit again. LJ, would you like to give us some feedback?
Certainly. Well, thank you once again for having me. And I would just say that I really enjoyed both of the speeches tonight. I enjoyed the topics. I know when I've visited some other groups, sometimes the topics are a little bit hard to focus on, pay attention to, but both of the ones tonight held my attention, so I appreciate that. And like I said, thank you for having me again.
Thank you for being here. Nicole, if I'm correct, you already joined, correct? Yes, she did.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. I didn't want to leave anybody out. Graham, back to you to wrap it up for us, please.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Let me give you a brief evaluation of the table topics participants. Norman, I thought, was particularly insightful, re the change that we're facing in malls with the decline in the anchors. One observation for Norman, though, is that he just ended. And I'd like a little more wrapping up in a table topic. LJ had some really good humour, and I love the observation. My wife has taken to shopping a little more than I would like. I thought that was quite amusing, but again, LJ just sort of stopped. So try to work out a way to bring things back together, which is something that Nicole did, an excellent lesson in what the repercussions are of our going for a bargain. See, I got the bargain in. And again, she wrapped that up really nicely. And Tracy did something that I don't often see done in a table topic, but I recommend that you do if this happens to you. She asked for clarification so she knew exactly what it was that she was going to be speaking on. Well done. I commend you for that. The evaluators, Carol Prahinsky, pointed to the strengths and also pointed to the use of the word imagination, for example. I would suggest for Carol, there was a moment there where she said, come on, smile. Now, if I were to do that, I would be Me Too'd, and quite reasonably so. Our job as evaluator is to make suggestions based on our interpretation. So I would suggest that if you smiled, Therese, that might work better. I think would be a better way than saying, come on, Therese, let me see your smile. There's an edge there that we do need to be careful of. Having said that, I loved the specific suggestions that were being made by Carol. For example, talking about imagination being one of the top 7 sell words, the suggestion to raise the camera so that the lengthening of the neck doesn't happen. That's always something that I look forward to seeing with Carol's presentations. She gives something specific for the speaker to take away, and I commend you on that. Jim Barber's evaluation. First up, before I go any further, Jim, I want that typewriter that's over your right shoulder. Left shoulder, whichever one it is, I want that. Jim pointed to the improvements that Hev had made, speaking about, for example, his speed and his structure. And the highlight for me was his suggestion that perhaps Hev might use a slide for things like that quote. But one thing that Jim did, and I'm doing it in reverse, is it was all you did, you did, you did, you did. I like it when we change from Hev, I might suggest to, I don't know whether you noticed something that Hev did, so that you're not only giving the speaker something, you're giving the whole group a learning moment as well. So those are my observations about the evaluations. The table topics master, Elaine, good topics, but it took an awful long time to get to them. I think we probably spent about 3 minutes before we got to the first topic. Our Toastmaster tonight, Deborah, really well done. Handle the changes well. We kept on time until the general evaluator blew us out, and it's just gone top of the clock. So I will now hand control. Do you want it back, Deborah, or shall I give it straight to the president to close the meeting?
We'll take it right to Jimmy. Thank you, everyone, for helping out. It was great. I appreciate it from my end.
And well done, Deborah. Now, Jimmy, it's all yours as president. Oh, hang on. Vote counter. We need to find out who the votes were.
Yes. Dagmara.
How could we forget about our winners? So here we go. The best speech today, please give a round of applause to Therese. The best table topic, Tracy. And the best evaluator, here we have a draw. So bravo to Jim and Carol. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Dagmara. We had a great meeting tonight. Everybody did a great job. Great evaluations, great table topics. and good turnout. Even though we had quite a few members that weren't able to make it tonight, we still had an excellent turnout. And we started on time and looks like we're finishing on time. I've got no special announcements other than I am going to plan to try to have an executive officers meeting in early December before the end of the year and before the holidays. Does anybody else have any announcements they'd like to make?
Quick announcements. Next week's Toastmasters of the evening is Scott Johnston from Down Under. We have a few more roles to be filled. Please go ahead and log in and pick your roles.
Thank you, everyone, for helping tonight.
I have a quick question. Are we having a meeting on December 24th? Right? Did we agree? No December 24th, no December 31st?
Yes, that's positive. We will not have meetings on December 24th and December 31st.
Thank you.
That's what I thought.
So
Only
sad.
Graham. Only Graham, because Graham's not choosing family.
I got to say, for Scott and I think Rod Moore's still a member of this club, that would make it Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and I'm not entirely sure any of us would be in any fit state on New Year's Day.
I'm the Toastmaster
We'll
of
have to
the
make
day.
sure the website reflects that there's no meeting on those days.
Perfect.
Any other
Thank you.
announcements?
I'm the Toastmaster of the day for that meeting on the 17th, which is our last meeting of this year. So if you've got a role that you wanted to do this year and you haven't done it, this is your opportunity. Please, everybody, go ahead and sign up now.